My name is Chris Wolfe, and with my husband Nick we run South East Flowers here in Ashford, Kent, and we have so for 10 years. It's very difficult because you're trying to plan. You can't drive the bus and drive it where you want to anymore. You can't think about reinvesting or anything like that. Because there's so much uncertainty of a deal or a no deal, we don't know what the charges are going to be. We're guessing at the moment. You've got the exchange rate that could be hit. Then you've got the paperwork that has to be done in Holland and the paperwork that has to be done over here to get that shipment across. Now, both of those companies will be charging somebody, and it will come to us and then on to the consumer. I don't think that anybody sitting in the House of Commons will be affected by a deal or a no deal like everybody else who's working hard. But they have our future in their hands. We will manage. You know, we will get the flowers in, we will get the flowers out, we will not let our customers down. But if I mismanage this company like they were mismanaging all this thing that they've had plenty of time to organise it, why does it have to go to the wire? So everything's kind of static at the minute. You're just kind of going day by day by day and talking about the same thing and listening to the radio and watching the telly to find out if there's anything new. I had a bottle of champagne at home on Saturday just waiting, hoping it would be a deal just as everything settles down. I understand they've got to look at the deal. I get all that, but why are they doing it now rather than in March, you know?
Views of one florist in Kent. Well, we're joined now from Belfast by Ivor Ferguson, President of the Ulster Farmers Union. And here in the studio with me is the businessman, Labour donor and former Vote Leave chair, John Mills. Ivor, if I can just go to you, because I know you backed Theresa May's deal. You were behind that. Do you feel the same about this one?
No, certainly not. For us, Theresa May's deal was certainly a very good deal. This deal we have at the moment, we realise that it is a compromise. It certainly gets over the tariffs on the border, which is a very big issue for us. And we did welcome this deal, but we certainly couldn't support it because it has thrown up a lot of questions that we would need clarity on.
So when you said throwing up questions, I mean, one was the issue the Brexit Secretary himself couldn't answer today, that goods from Northern Ireland to Great Britain or to the mainland would have to produce more paperwork in the form of what they call an exit declaration. Would that affect you? Is that doable?
Well, certainly we have always stated that what we need is free and unfettered access to the GB mainland market, which is our mainland market by far. But our second biggest market, of course, is the EU, and we certainly want free access to the EU as well. So if there's checks to be had or to be put in place for us going into the GB market, that would, to me, would not be unfettered access.
So you wouldn't see it as, well, we've got the best of both worlds. We're actually perfectly positioned.
Well, I suppose we'll have to. I mean, we realise that this deal today is a compromise deal, and we have always said that whereas Theresa May's was the best deal so far, if we look at the alternative, which is no deal, that would be devastating for us. You know, it would really result in market failure and bankruptcies and farmers. So if we had to face those tariffs going south of the border, so. Well, if we look at the deal today, it's an awful lot better than no deal. But certainly we would need clarity. We have a number of questions that we need answers to. And I suppose apart from the unfettered access to the GB market, one of the main questions we have is that we have a lot of product goes from Northern Ireland, particularly raw milk. And that's manufactured into powders, which go to, there's 52 trade deals which the EU has negotiated. So we would need access to those trade deals, and so far we haven't been able to get clarity on that. So that's a very important point as well that we need clarification on.
Ivor, thank you very much. Ivor Ferguson there from Belfast. John Mills, that was one business who didn't sound at all convinced that this was going to be an easy ride. You've heard what he said there. He needs raw milk going to 52 different markets, 52 different bits of trade access to get that done. I mean, that's not frictionless.
It's not completely frictionless, but I must say my experience of international trade is that paperwork takes some getting used to, but in the end, once you've got it organised, especially if you've got computers where it's all down and you've just got to replicate what was there before, isn't that difficult.
But it's so funny, isn't it, to think that, you know, there was such an immense excitement about this bonfire of regulation and getting rid of the paperwork and the red, you know, tape, and what are they doing? They're creating even more.
Well, I don't think filling in one of two forms is a desperate case of regulation.
Well, the DUP, of course, will say it's not just filling in one or two forms, it's what that intrinsically and emotionally means about identity between Northern Ireland and the mainland.
I think that's right, and I understand entirely where the DUP are, and I think that what we can do to keep the union together is very important. But I mean, there just are some differences between Northern Ireland and the rest of the GP, as we've seen on the Stormont events today. And I think you just got to recognise that. I mean, it's impossible to get a deal together which is going to satisfy everybody.
People are talking a lot about compromise, and I understand there is a need for compromise, but there is no guarantee, as I was saying earlier, for workers' rights in this deal. Now, you're a Labour man, you're a donor to the Labour Party. Doesn't that freak you out?
It's not great, I must say. I'd be much happier if there were these declarations in, and there are other things which we're concerned about on the agreement. But any agreement that you have is going to have compromises and...
but is that really where... You're a Labour donor and you're saying, well, we've got to compromise on something, so let's make it workers' right.
Well, I don't think that is right, in the sense that I think it's actually very unlikely that even a Conservative government, even a relatively right-wing Conservative government, I don't think would erode workers' rights to any significant extent, because it's so unpopular.
Why would the General Secretary of the TUC say this is a licence to rip up people's rights? Why would she say that she'd been told by Michael Gove that he was not prepared to guarantee to preserve workers' rights? This is the TUC speaking.
Well, Francois Grelier has a role, and I understand exactly where she's coming from.
But isn't
she's trying
she
to make
on your
a point.
Side?
Yes, she is.
She's pointing out to you what she is really concerned about, and you're a Labour donor.
Yeah, but you've got to look at these things in the round and accept some derogations and steps that you don't like.
Maybe prefer deregulation. Maybe that would work for your business, would it?
Yes, I think businesses don't like regulation generally, but you just have to put up with it. But I mean, I think that supporting this deal is very much a question of taking a view on balance against a whole lot of advantages and disadvantages as to whether it's worth going for. And I think on balance, it is.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks, John.